What's going on YouTube? So as you probably know, the auto industry has gone crazy in recent months, with even mainstream models being very expensive or unavailable at all. However, if you still want an affordable crossover, there are very few options. But one of which is this Nissan Kicks. For the 2022 model year, it still starts below $20,000 and remains a great deal across the entire lineup, especially this value-packed SV trim we have today. So is this the best affordable crossover on the market? Let's go ahead and find out. So the Kicks just came off of an extensive refresh last year, and those same styling updates are going to carry on for 2022. So the big thing that Nissan was doing last year was making this look more aggressive. So you've got a much larger interpretation of the brand's V-Motion grille. As you can see, this extends down almost to the bottom of the entire vehicle here. It is going to be finished as well in an aggressive gloss black across all the trim levels, besides for these small chrome accents that run through here. Now in terms of our headlights, of course this is a very affordable vehicle, like I said, starting below $20,000, and that does mean you're going to have halogen headlights on your S and your SV trim levels. However, if you choose the SR, you're going to get an LED low beam, and you'll also have LED fog lamps, which are missing from the other two trim levels. Now, like I said at the beginning, you're going to notice a lot of different elements that are especially value-packed with this SV trim level, just the second trim up from the base model. One of those things is going to be these wheels. Take a look at these. These are pretty stylish looking 17-inch alloys. I really like the way they have this contrast design. Like I said, very nice and stylish looking. You can also get a gloss black alloy available on the SR trim level, and then you will have a hubcap if you choose the base model. And then coming up here to the mirrors, Mason's going to talk about this in just a second, but we do have the two-tone roof. That means we also have the gloss black mirrors to match with that. And then as far as the functionality, on the SV trim level, we're going to have heating, and all the trim levels, even the base model, will have blind spot monitoring.
Now here at the side of the Kicks, of course you can tell that this is a small vehicle, and its overall length is going to be coming in at 169.1 inches, which of course is shorter than stuff like the Nissan Rogue. Now as far as the side design itself though, I am pretty pleasantly surprised to see a lot of different styling elements going on with this Kicks, which is something you really don't get a lot or very often in this segment. So up here at the top, you're probably noticing one of those big elements. That's going to be that you do have a two-tone roof option. So we have a black roof for this model. You can get it in 5 different exterior colors. As you can see, we have it paired with this red color, and you can get it on the SV and SR trims. And in addition to that, we do also have a silver roof rail, which really spices up the design. Now coming around to the rear design, of course with the refresh last year, Nissan did spice it up with a few nice elements. So as far as the design this year, it hasn't really changed much. So we have our big Nissan branding right here in the middle. We have an exposed rear wiper, and then you're going to notice these taillights, which are connected by this middle piece right here. The taillights themselves are going to be partially LED, which I'm surprised to see on a vehicle in this segment. So we have all of the LED accenting. We also have an LED brake light, but we do have an incandescent turn signal and reverse light. But overall, that's a really premium element for the Kicks. If we drop down to the lower area, you will notice that all of this is going to be body color. You're not going to have any exposed exhaust outlets regardless of which trim you go for the Kicks. And I do want to point out that towing is not recommended by Nissan. All right, it's time to talk about our safety systems as well as the warranty for this Kicks. That's of course a very important part about buying any new vehicle. So for your safety systems, Nissan's throwing in a surprising number of them as standard equipment on every single model. So Safety Shield 360 is standard, which gives you forward emergency braking. We also have rear auto braking for this model, lane departure warning. And in addition to that, if you go for the SV trims and higher, that will throw in your adaptive cruise control, and they're also going to have auto high beam headlamps. Now for your warranties, it is going to have Nissan standard 3-year 36,000 mile basic warranty, 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. Well guys, that's it for the outside of this Kicks. Now let's go ahead and check out the very functional interior before we take it out in a spin.
So on all but the base Kicks, you will surprisingly find the intelligent entry system as well as remote start, and you do have the updated logo here on the key fob. And then getting inside the vehicle itself, just press the button to unlock. Let's go ahead and get inside here. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about interior color and material choices right from the beginning here. You don't have a ton of choices, which you probably don't expect. So all three of the trim levels are going to come standard with what you see here. That's going to be a cloth seat finished in charcoal, although the SR does give you an extra contrast option. And then you can, on the SR, choose the SR Premium package, and that will throw in a leatherette seat if you want something a little bit more upscale. But as far as these seats, really nice looking design. I like the feeling of the fabric, like it's not too scratchy, and you do have these stitching details throughout as well. Now go ahead and turn over here to our door trim. Oh, I should mention that the seats themselves are going to be 6-way manual adjusting across the entire lineup. Now, coming back to the door trim, we do have a cloth insert right here for your arm to rest against. All the other materials are going to be hard touch, and then your windows are automatic for your driver and your passenger. Now, as far as your broader material choices, of course, this is a very affordable crossover, so it's not going to be super luxurious or anything. However, it is surprisingly nice for the price point. So you do have hard touch plastic across the top, but it does have a nice graining to it and feel solid. Here in the middle, we have a kind of a faux aluminum trim. I think it looks pretty nice. Got piano black accents through here as well as along the center console. And you know, one of the things that I said is surprisingly nice is the fact that we have like a leatherette pad along this console. This is the type of thing that some Audis charge you extra for, and this is just the second trim up the ladder. Anyways, taking a look there, we do have our push button start located next to the shifter. And right as soon as you start it up, you'll see another one of these surprisingly premium features, and that's the fact that we have a half digital gauge cluster. So this is a 7-inch reconfigurable display over here on the left-hand side, and then you have the analog set up on the right side. Resolution on this is really nice, and like I said, you can change the design a little bit as well. And pulling back to the steering wheel, all the Kicks models are going to come with the flat bottom design. It's going to be leather wrapped if you choose the SR, and you can even get heating if you choose the SR with premium package. And then there is your manual adjustment. Let's take a look at interior storage, because this is a crossover after all, even if it is a small one. So one of the things that was updated last year in the refresh was this new console design. So you do actually have a traditional center console if you choose the SV trim or above. Nice leather wrapping on top there. And inside is not going to be a ton of space. You don't really expect that for a subcompact crossover. But you can, you know, of course, stick a few items in there. You also have two different size cup holders, and then up in the front, we have a nice and large area to stick your phone, as well as two USB connections and a 12-volt outlet. Now in terms of your coupons, obviously there's not going to be any type of place to stick these in the center console, but we could of course stick them in the glove box. Now as we come back here to the shifter, this is traditional style, so you're just going to pull back for drive. You don't have any paddle shifters on the steering wheel. And then we go into reverse. On this SV, since this is just the second trim up the ladder, we do have the standard backup camera, but we have the active trajectory as well. And we do have parking sensors in the back. So that's definitely a pretty nice touch. Additionally, one of the things Nissan says is a class exclusive feature is the fact that you can get the around view monitor system as well. And then up in front of that, you have an electronic parking brake with an auto brake hold. Now moving on up from that, we've got our climate control. This is a single zone automatic setup. It is standard on all but the base model, and obviously very simple to use. Just use this large knob here to adjust your temperature, and you can do the fan speeds over there on that part. Additionally, we would have heated seats if you go for the SR with the premium package. And then the next place to go will be our audio system. So there's 2 different audio systems. Most of them are going to have 6 speakers. However, if you get the top end fully loaded model, you're going to have an 8-speaker Bose sound system. But let's sample the standard one. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is pretty good. Definitely has a pretty nice bass for, a basic sound system. Okay, so now we're here at our main display. So you've got a 7-inch display as standard. However, all but the base model are going to come with the 8-inch display you see here on this example. This is running the latest Nissan software. I do like that you have the physical shortcuts along the side there, and then you do have some more shortcuts along the bottom inside of this display. As far as the features, it is the same as you've seen in many other Nissan products, so you do have standard Android Auto and standard Apple CarPlay. Carrying on up, we do have manual dimming mirror. And then there is no available sunroof no matter which model you choose.
Alright guys, so I'm here in the rear area of the Nissan Kicks, and as far as this area is concerned, it's actually pretty impressive for a small vehicle like this. So as far as the space is concerned, we're looking at 33.4 inches of legroom, 38.5 inches of headroom, which does place it on the smaller end for the segment, but overall this is a really nice amount of space. As you can see, this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9", and I still have, I'd say, 3.5 to 4 inches of rear leg room. My feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. So overall, this is a quite impressive space figure for a vehicle in this segment. Now, as far as the features are concerned, we are going to have this center area. We have 2 charging USB ports, which I'm actually very surprised to see. Most things in this segment don't give you any features at all. And then in the center area, I do want to point out that we're going to still be missing out on a center armrest. And the door trim itself is pretty nice. It is, of course, going to be made of hard touch materials, but we do have a nice armrest portion as well as a bottle holder down below. All right, and coming up to the tailgate for the Kicks. Now, as with most things in this segment, a power tailgate is not going to be offered, so it's just you're manually opening one. You do have a button underneath of the lid to open it up. Now, as far as the space itself is concerned in the Kicks, this is going to be a pretty good amount of space for the segment. One of the things that I really want to point out is that just look how deep it is. So as you can see, even underneath of this cargo floor, it goes down quite a good ways. And then as far as the seats themselves, they do fold 60-40 split. So I can just pull on that tab right there, lift them up, and then fold it down to actually give you pretty impressive cargo figure. I do want to point out though that the seat bottom itself is a little higher than this load floor here. So that's something worth noting. And then if we lift up the cargo floor here, you will notice that we have a spare tire. Now your passenger seat is going to be manually adjusting for this Kicks, as you would expect. And then if we open up the glove box, you'll notice that we do have a pretty good amount of space here. So I know for those of you on a budget, you've got to keep the coupons here in the center console. As you can see, they do fit perfectly fine. We could even stack them up quite a distance up above that. And then as far as our sun visor, this is a really large sun visor. We have some lighting as well as a mirror, and we can detach it, and we have an extension in the end.
Okay, and there we are at 60 miles per hour with this 2022 Nissan Kicks. So as with pretty much anything in this class, you're going to have a ton of power on board. This is not about, being powerful. This is about, like we said, giving you the crossover body style, the utility at an affordable price point. So what you're going to be looking at is a 1.6 liter engine. It's going to come with 122 horsepower, 114 pound-feet of torque. Like I said, that's not going to be an exciting amount of horsepower. But it will get the job done, and we're going to talk about it a little later, but you're also going to get some pretty good fuel economy numbers as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just not a focus of anything in this category of vehicle. I think this is one of the slowest options that you can get within this category, that is for sure, but also at the same time, it's really just not a focus. And, just upon gentle accelerations around the city, if you're really not pushing it too hard, I think it feels pretty fine. Like it's when you really floor it down is when you can notice that it doesn't have a ton of power to kick in, but overall for city driving, this is going to be perfectly fine for most people.
Alright, and I also want to talk about that right there. That is your continuously variable transmission at work. You may not even notice that it is a continuously variable transmission at first, because you probably noticed we actually have a shift simulation on board. That was something I believe Nissan added last year with the refresh. That's what they call D-step logic. So as you go hard on the gas, it's going to basically make some artificial shifts, vary the RPMs to make you feel like you have a traditional stepped automatic, and it really seems to do a pretty good job at that.
Yeah. Now, of course, it is going to be front-wheel drive only for the kicks, which does mean that you have one fuel economy figure, and this is particularly worth noting because, yes, it's not a super powerful engine, but also at the same time, it gives you really, really good fuel economy. So we're looking at 31 city, 36 highway, 33 combined. So this is a non-hybrid, it's not anything special with plug-in hybrid or anything. You're still getting 33 miles a gallon combined out of an SUV with a lot of cargo space. So that's a really impressive figure for Nissan here. Alrighty, and I think it's time for us to discuss the Slam Dunkin' Airball for this Nissan Kicks. Now, as far as the Slam Dunk, I think really the biggest thing for me is just the level of standard equipment. I really like the space, but I also am a big fan of what Nissan has done with the standard equipment, having blind spot monitoring standard on every single model. I mean, you're looking at, in most cheaper cars, that's not available until you get to the higher end trim levels, and I'm just really, really happy to see that Nissan's throwing that in addition to the safety systems being standard on the vast majority of models as well. So
yeah, the premium features of the cabin on just this SV. On the airball side of things, I would say it's something Mason mentioned just a few minutes ago, actually. It would be the unavailability of all-wheel drive, because this is a crossover after all. Some of the things that this is competing with are going to have available all-wheel drive, and I feel like even though people don't take these off-road or anything like that, just having all-wheel drive is always good for extra peace of mind, and I think that's a good reason that people buy crossovers to begin with.
But let's go ahead and talk about your ride quality. It's something we haven't mentioned up until this point of the video. And with the Kicks, now of course, this is an economy vehicle. This is one of the cheapest SUVs you can buy, so do keep that in mind. But honest to goodness, this is not a bad riding vehicle at all. I'm pretty comfortable in these seats. Going over that bridge abductant, it does a really good job of soaking up the bumps, and in terms of the ride quality itself, it is pretty good. Now, I did accidentally leave the sound level reader in the trunk, so don't yell at me too much, but as far as the noise level, I'd say that's probably going to be in the 60s. It does seem to have a little bit of wind noise and road noise, as you would expect out of something. It probably doesn't have a ton of sound deadening. But guys, it's a really important time for us. This is time to talk about the pricing for the Kicks. Now, of course, this is super impressive. So the S is going to start at $19,800. So yes, you're looking at under $20,000 for the base model. SV is $21,650, SR $22,340. So prices are going to rise around $300 for 2022, but you're still looking at that under 20K mark, and really it's quite impressive that you can get an SUV for under $20,000 in 2022.
Yes, becoming a very, very rare thing, that's for sure.
This tester does have the optional two-tone paint as well as a few accessories. You're looking at $23,800 all in with the $1,225 destination charge.
But overall, like we said at the beginning, the Kicks is one of the very most affordable crossovers. That actually might be the most affordable crossover that you can get right now in America, especially as crazy as the auto industry has become. The prices of many of this vehicle's competition have just bloated into extreme level. But no matter even if you choose the fully loaded version of this Kicks, you're always going to have a very, very affordable crossover with a lot of utility and a lot of standard equipment. And I think that's quite impressive.
Well guys, that's going to be all for our in-depth review of the 2022 Nissan Kicks SV. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, please hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.